Dunk. So yeah, this is the Vengeance Sorceress, everybody. If you've not seen her before, it's because I was playing her with Ivan. So we got Kingslayer, Steel Shade with some AR jewels with lightning damage, and an AR slam. Puzzle box for 2, so I can put the jewels in it. High Lords with Magic Find, sadly. If it was a +2, I would just use that and not switch out for buffing amulets. Epiphany for the giant 1 to 750 lightning damage added to my Vengeance from Kingslayer, as well as all the other lovely attributes you get from Epiphany. Occultist with block rate, so I can have decent block frames, because if you're going to use an Aegis, you need to be blocking. And because it's enchant, and you get successful block chance from Chilling Armor these days, you'll want to be blocking. You want to be. And because you've got to put a lot of strength in to get to Epiphany in an Aegis, you might as well go with a high strength armor. So Atma's Whale, upgraded to a lacquered plate, 208 strength, huge defense though, and full of jewels that do lightning damage, fire damage, and all res. Nose Coil because we needed the speed to get the attack speed, because I refused to use a phase blade, because few phase blades, that's why. But it's still useful, slows target, mana per kill, when mana is your life. Ravenfrost for Cannot Be Frozen, and AR of course. This ring is for life and mana per kill, just chiefly that, and to meet a fast cast rate breakpoint. The good thing about using Atma's armor is you get cast rate, and Occultist you get cast rate, so you can actually zip around better than not. And then lastly, Sandstorm Trex, which I need with a faster block rate slam, and then it will put me to my next breakpoint. And it'll also give me the juice for the max poison res. That's the only thing energy shield. Right, watch this, chat. I bet you $1,000, but I bet you a poopin' scoopin', right? I change characters, right? I'll be like, oh, let's use the Sorceress to get to Israel quicker, right? And because she hates elemental damage, I bet you there'll be souls. Bet you there'll be souls in the fucking place. I was going to put these life manas in just to bump up, because I got loads of damage, but I'd have a lot of survivability. So I haven't got around to experimenting with that yet, but we will. We will. Oh, we can take that though. Bussin'. Told you! Told you. You all owe me $1,000. No, he said that wasn't going to happen. Sorry. Everything is elemental as soon as I can start taking elemental damage. I knew it. This game is a dick. It's a troll dick that needs to f off, basically. By the way, chat, I believe it is genuinely programmed to do that, so, you know, me complaining about it doesn't mean shit. It's still going to do it. Yeah. Oh, you soul wankers. You weren't even a boss pack. What's that all about? Pops off. Monkey's on the car. Hold on. This has ended up not being faster, by the way. Okay. That's a good start. Awesome. We got absolutely rinsed by souls. And I haven't even had a chance to make the video about that sorceress. And she had a lot of currency sunk into her. I should have just backed out because the souls were there. It was stupid. Why carry on? Yeah, that was dumb as a box of rocks. How you doing, guys, gals, non-binary pals? Hinfail here with another memes build video. Now, this is nothing new. This was something I never got around to doing after breaking my hand because it was one of the skill changes that I wanted to test. I do not remember if I touched upon it in Season 12's closed beta, because so long ago and my memory's dog poops. But when they changed the skill, Exploding Arrow, to have all those additional explosions and stuff, it was very, very cool. I have fiddled about with it in closed beta Season 13, I think, and with other characters within Season 13. But, you know, when it comes to Sorceresses, you know, being the major lander on that one, it was a lot easier to get away with it. You know, Necromancer with lower resist, you know, is nice, but not brilliant. Paladin, Holy Fire, again, nice and not brilliant, but the best one is definitely a dual enchant Sorceress. And I've tried to streamline it as much as possible because I hate doing swap in, swap outs. You know, when I'm doing a map, I like to pick up everything. I'm talking shit with chat. It takes ages. So it will run out because enchant's duration is embarrassingly poop. So, you know, what can you do? But yeah, the clips I showed before at the start of this video were what this sorceress was before I stupidly died in hubris, you know, with a not a very good energy shield. But I'll touch upon that within this build video now as to the, you know, errors and mistakes that I've made from not evolving, shall we say, with energy shield from LOD to PD2. And I've not really been very au fait with it, but we'll get to that. We'll get to skills. Let's do gear first, everybody. So the gear for this character is, of course, Blast Spark, because it grants 2 to 3 to Exploding Arrow as an O skill. Now, Exploding Arrow now has loads of other explosions, secondary explosions, which is really, really cool. The mechanics of it are awesome, especially with the Sorceress, because if you combine that with enchant, fire gear and things like that, any fire damage will carry over on that explosion. So it's really, really good as long as you pierce and cast multiple explosions. You know, the radius stacking, you know, once it starts adding up, it really does chip away at the life of enemies. Again, my damage isn't huge, but if you combine those Exploding Arrow knock-on explosions and do it multiple times, it makes all the difference. So, this was increased attack speed, duels, damage, AR, things like that. When it was on previous characters. Said I did Necromancer, Paladin, things like that. I can't remember what other characters I did. I've tried everything, but I was like, I've got to go back to the Sorceress because I know it works. You know, and when I say I know it works, it's because of things like this. You know, you've got the old Demon Machine. I haven't even bothered putting facets in the sockets because it's already ultra fast. It's a base speed minus 60. You know, I haven't upgraded it even. You know, I just slap it on and watch the, you know, the multi-shot on striking benefits from your cold enchant and your fire enchant. It's basically the strongest way of doing it, as everybody knows. And now we even get extras. With Bannerlord's Call, because it's a crossbow, we get access to slow movement and inner sight, which is really cool. And again, you don't even need buffing on switch if you didn't want to. That's +2 to all skills. You could just quick buffs and go nuts and maybe have a magic find switch. So yeah, Demon Machine is even better, even though they nerfed this season the multi-shot. It's still fantastic. You know, I mean, the nerf, I think, is in a really good place. So please don't nerf it anymore, Senpai and devs and everyone. Please don't. It's good. You know, obviously, you don't need the 5 sockets, but if you do, definitely worth it. All of those facets, just throw them in there. But you get flat AR, which is great, all that good stuff. But again, that's not what we're here for. That's the obvious choice. This one isn't the obvious choice. But it's damn good. And as you can see, it's full of shales because we just want to get as many explosions going as much as possible. So just, you know, be speedy about it. And it's got the 20% chance to pierce. We want as much pierce as possible so that, again, enemies are, you know, yeah. Anyway, I'll move on. So I don't actually need the increased attack speed in here. This was a layover from, like I said, when I had a mix of shales and increased attack speed jewels in there. And then I realised I could be at a different breakpoint. You know, it was so derpy. But yeah, so it has an increased attack speed jewel in it. I should really have a 3-socket version of this full of fire facets. You know, that would be a better choice there. I think you still need the base speed on the helmet to hit the breakpoint, but we'll get to breakpoints in a bit. So I've got a Mara's on for, you know, resistances are obviously good. You know, we'll get onto energy shield in a minute, because most people say, you don't need energy shield resistance. It's like, no, you do. You do. But 2 tall skills means more exploding arrow levels. Again, don't really need it. Like, to be honest, if you put a Rising Sun here, that would be better. Because the fire damage on Rising Sun would carry over to Exploding Arrow. And because Exploding Arrow is a fire skill, it gets buffed from Rising Sun. I didn't have a Rising Sun. Well, that's a lie. I think I got a +1, and I was like, I don't want a +1. But the reason I went with a +2 was, again, streamlining. You get 2 tall skills here, 2 tall skills there. This is your cold enchant and your fire enchant. And even teleport or whatever. It's not really that important. But yeah, so all skills, which is why we're going with it. Trying to make it as easy as possible without changing too many things out. These arrows, crafted arrows, have fire damage on them, so I can get the splash. I think I PP-st it for only 1 socket and got upset, so I put a Doll rune in it for Replenish Life. I do love Replenish Life, as we all know. But yeah, fire damage, some ED, you know, good stats all round on it, but it's not the best piece of kit in the world. But arrows are really hard to come by these days. I was using Balefire at one point for the minus up to 6 for enemy fire resistance, but again, I'm not relying on just fire here and trying to pierce fire and things. We have backups, so I just, you know, this could be vastly improved, in other words. I'm making excuses. Yeah. Anyway, so we've got treads with 45 faster run warp, which really helps with positioning. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Dean, why don't you just teleport? And it's like, well, when I teleport, my mercenary gets brought out. I need to reposition, so I'm sniping the edge of the packs. Not him. He needs to be in there. So teleport is for removing him and creating space and, you know, engaging different packs. You know, huge faster run walk on the treads for repositioning myself. And the armor is to help with the teleport, because again, we haven't got much faster cast rate gear here. So, you know, I was given this by a friend actually. 3 sockets, and can't remember if the unrooms were already in there or I put them in there, but I think I put them in there because I was toying with having like a +2 skills armor, but I was like, yeah, but they're already heavy, and I don't invest in strength, you know, like arcanes or, you know, something like that. I was like, no, I just want fast cast rate and resistances, because resistances were hard to come by on this gear. So, can you stop there, Alizir? Thank you. Giving me epilepsy. Anyway, so this fills a slot in a fairly decent way, for me, personally, to have huge all-res bonus and cast rate to teleport around. If you've got the cash, you can splice a lot of this around. Again, I'm trying to streamline as best as possible to cast, like I said, maybe multiple enchants because I'm so slow. Anyway, so this ring is to help with sustain. So you've got the 15 strength, 12 dexterity to get your gear on. Don't up the bow, by the way. Just keep it as a long war bow. You're not doing physical damage. The bow is a vessel. It's a vessel just to use exploding arrow. Well, there is an argument for that as well. It's like, why not up it to a Hydra bow? Why not make it so with physical damage as well? And I'm like, no, I'd rather just be a ranged elemental caster. Kind of like what, you know, Amazons used to be in LOD when they were firing off immolation arrow and freezing arrow and things. It was like, no, you're a ranged caster. The bow and everything like that is just a vessel for the spell. So this is kind of the same thing. And it works pretty well on a sorceress, I feel. But anyway, yeah. 3 life per kill, 3 mana per kill. They help with my sustain. Arachnid Mesh, again, for +1 to all skills with your enchants. Vitality helps keep us alive, even though, you know, sorceresses have dog poo vitality, but what can you do? Ravenfrost for the AR, to make sure you hit, to trigger all these explosions. And even more Dex, because, you know, Dex is great. AR. Frostburns with Pierce. Now, Magnus Skin is a great thing to have here, which I was using up until a point, because you get flat AR of 100, you get guaranteed 20 Pierce, you know, all good things. But with these, because I'm using Energy Shield, I get increased max mana from my Energy Shield. So, life in one place. I get some minus enemy cold and fire res, which, again, I'm not out to break anything with this build, but when I am hitting something that is cold immune, you know, the fire is kicking in, and vice versa. Yeah? So you get those, and also you get fire damage, which is the 1428 fire damage is added to the spread on the explosive arrow. So that's useful. And again, if you're hitting with just the cold damage as well when you're doing cold enchant, single target, it's fine. It's all good. So yeah, most importantly, I want to talk about this. So on Switch, we have a memory shillelagh. So 4 to all skills, which was a change that came in Season 13. I think it's fantastic as a buff stick because everyone can use it. You know? Act 4 mercenaries can have a memory now. And because it's all skills, you know. A barbarian could stick it on Switch for an early buff stick before he gets into hell and starts shopping Anya for +3 sticks, which he then slams for another +1 skill. Now, that's the dream. But with this, you still get the massive energy shield bonuses. Now, like I said before in the intro, when it comes to energy shield, I was still woefully sort of unprepared and everything with it because I was sort of just throw on as much plus skill as possible, leave it without any hard points, and don't care. Now, hard points really matter these days in PD2 because of the way it's been engineered. So the difference between shaving some skill points out to actually put hard points into energy shield for the, you know, absorb multipliers and things like that, just make a huge difference. So I'm not going to go into it in detail. What I will say is, once again, this is what I love about PD2. The care and attention that is given to it from the devs and the community. So there is a comprehensive explanation on the PD2 wiki that just will help you so much with how much you need to put into energy shield depending on how much you want it for. Now with me, I put 10 hard points in because, again, skill points are tight in a dual enchant build. So 10 points was enough to really help out with it, my mana pool not being drained like that. It's more than enough defense now with, you know, 9 to energy shield buffing staff, plus the rest of all of my plus skills gear. Yeah, so it really helps to just switch, cast, move on. Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, if you want to be like a super tank, like, again, the clips at the start of the video with my melee sorceress, she should have had 20 points in energy shield. No joke. So it's my own fault for getting her killed for only having buff stick, no hard levels and stuff, you know. The lessons learned. I'll probably build her again next season. But anyway, so that's gear. I've done this the wrong way around, so I should have started with skills. But to be honest with you, we'll do charms next and then go to skills. But yeah, so charms is I've got a couple of big fat attack rating, and this one's got fire damage going with the spread. This one is huge attack rating but cold damage against those single targets, so they really help out. And I've got a couple of cold skillers with fire damage. Wish they were fire skillers with fire damage, but it's not the point. So they help obviously with my cold enchant and chilling armor and whatnot. But they also spread fire damage with exploding arrow. Then we got a couple of fire skillers, which again I gave all my fire skillers away at the start of the season or sold them for currency towards my assassin. And then it's, oh hey Dean, you're going to build a sorceress. Of course you are. I need to start learning to keep things. But anyway, doesn't matter. So we got fire skill damage, fire skill damage, fire skill damage. And then we've got a big fire damage charm with a bit of lightning on it as a secondary. I'd like that to be cold damage as the secondary damage, and it would make more sense, but whatever. And then this one is just a big solid fire damage charm for spread. We've got an Annie, which I probably paid peanuts for, I think. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I've forgotten about it because, again, I've been away being a party animal, but I paid like tier runes or L runes or something for this. And then for the torch was the same thing. Everyone just wants, like, you know, materials at the end of the season. So I got this for a pittance. I think that was like 40p gems or something ridiculous. I'm sorry, guys, I don't remember. But yeah, I paid pittances for both of these two. But they were mostly to help out with my resistances and things going into hell mode and finalizing it. So yeah. So speaking of which, yeah, we got a 5 resistance charm there with some fire damage. Again, adds to the spread. We've got attack rating and the faster run walk caps, a breakpoint, and then all res, and then some faster hit recovery, and then lastly some, again, fire damage charms and fast hit run walk for a breakpoint spread. So again, we'll go back to skills now to explain it all. So yeah, we'll start with the fire tree, which is technically our main skill, but it's not even prioritized. You know, I'm gone for a spread. So we've got max warmth, which is fantastic. So you get AR, which most people don't even realize. And that 390% mana regen is fantastic with energy shield because it just shoots back up. You know, even the sustain of mana per kill and things is all well and good, but this, you know, just the regeneration on it is just phenomenal. Again, devs, please don't change that. So we've got as much of the fire mastery as we can for now. Again, once again, we're only level 88. I've not found enough time with Broken Hand and Summertime outside to get all these builds to at least 95. I usually provide you with these videos at that point because after that, the last few skill points are just tweaking. You know, but there's still a lot to do here. So, with the Lightning Tree, we've got 1 point and everything. Again, I'm not a big max teleport person. I don't mind that massive damage debuff once you hit the first teleport because I'm waiting to see how derpy my Mercenary is before he runs in. You know, I'll shoot a weak shot, of course, but then I'll follow up with the rest of the shots after the, you know, 1 second has gone. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see the benefits of putting points in teleport. I really do. I just don't do it personally. 1 second, If it was longer than that, I probably would. But again, the points are better served in here. So, level 22 energy shield. You know, if I weapon switch, that's 31. So the duration is much higher. The absorb is 75% as opposed to 57. So that's a huge absorb. But the 10 hard points means 131% of the damage taken goes to mana. Again, I'm not going to go hugely into the explanation, but you'll see it in the gameplay how much it matters. And then on the switch with the memory staff, as you can see, we do get static field, and I do have it on click. I will use it against bosses more often than not. Useful. And then lastly, in the cold tree, as I say, I think we've got 1 point wandering cold mastery at the moment. It might not even get higher than that. We've got max cold enchant, mostly for the AR. The damage is a bit sort of, but it could be higher. And again, I'm working towards maxing chilling armor right now, which I might not even do. I might start putting points back into fire mastery. There'll be a balance between cold mastery, favouring chilling armor, but trying to favour fire mastery more because it's our main damage in the spread of the exploding arrow. Right, so that's the skill layout essentially. So let's go to stats and things. This time we'll actually remember the stats. Here we go. So we got 138 strength, but that's because of the demon head. We had to build up to getting to it, and then you put it on because it's 102, and then it ramps me up to there. Dex is a bare minimum just to get the bow on. I could be putting more in there because I do like my AR, as we know. And as you can see, the damage from exploding arrows is only 500 and such. It's not very big. Right now, without enchants, the damage is poop-tastic. But again, we'll do all that in a second. So I've got a fairly even spread in vitality and energy. My old ring, before I changed to a sustain ring, which is, again, another reason why I've got high dex and strength, because it's not quite optimized. I should do a respec, but I'm not gonna. So, at the moment, I do get blood cursed in maps with Succubi or fighting Bale or whatever, because life is lower than mana. It's not the biggest deal in the world, because exploding arrow is only 6.2 mana cost. But, you know. So, as you can see, it's got a 2-yard explosion radius, 5 secondary explosions, fairly decent attack rating bonus, and a pittance of fire damage with it, but it's level 10. So, yeah, could be better, could be worse. Resistances are okay, again, because of the Skin of the Viper Magi. We've got decent masteries and pierces, as you can see, for fire and cold. The cold is really useful against single targets, fire immunes, that kind of thing. Our teleport breakpoint is 40, so we get the 37. Pretty weak source, but if you fancy it, you can just switch to the Shillelagh and get the 105. If you really fancy it. I don't tend to bother. Fast hit recovery is 20, which is pretty damn awful, but you are a ranged character. You don't have to stand up close with this one. Sometimes I stand at the edge of the screen and just pelt from a distance. Sometimes if the mercenary's in a good tanking position, I'll stand up close. You don't want to be too close. If you get wailed on, your mana bulb disappears. It's a bit of a pain. Yeah. So none of the Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, Open Wound stuff. You're a ranged caster. Life Leech is huge, as you can see, but because we're doing no physical damage, it's useless. Mana Leech, same thing, useless. We do have the 3/3 life per kill, mana per kill. Again, we have Warmth to get the energy shield back, and if you really need to use a pot, use a damn pot. That's what they're for. Maps are full of them, unless you've filtered to change them off, and then it's like, well, you might have better gear than me, get some better sustain. Right. My apologies again, people. I keep leaving out important things. Shouldn't make these videos when I'm a bit derp. Anyway, so we are at the 155 increased attack speed, which is a 10 frame breakpoint, because a long warbow is pretty slow. So yeah, sadly it's only 10 frames, but it's still reasonably fast as what you're going to see in the upcoming example gameplay section of the video. Obviously it's not 7 frame madness, but it can still do the job. As I said, if I take off Andariel's, it would put me down to 11 frames. I think I was rocking 11 frames for quite some time, and then when I bumped up to 10, I could really see the difference. So yeah, it's very necessary to pump those explosions out very quick. Okay, back in. So we'll start Mercenary. His stats and breakpoints. He's got 100. Wow, I wish. 47% physical damage reduction because he needs to tank for you. He's got decent res. So I got really itchy eye. Hay fever's killing me. He's got decent res. No problems there. He has the 86% faster hit recovery breakpoint. Again, it looks high because it's 97 there, but if I took his blood fists off, he would be at 67. So yeah, you kind of... His gears, again, I could switch it around a bit. Not optimized. Oops, sorry. He's only swinging for 12, which is bad. I could swap out the blood fist for laying a hand, something like that. But again, he just needs to stand there and take hits while I blow things up. So that's where this comes in handy. And huge defense. Well, big-ish defense. He has a tiny pittance of deadly strike. Nothing crazy. Practically no life leech, but he does have 8 life per kill. So if he's making the kills, he's doing alright. So, this. I was disappointed that it got life after each kill slam, because that's what he's, getting his life per kill on. But it took me until this long to get a lower resist on striking weapon. I believe this weapon came from Bale in normal, or maybe Nightmare. It was I don't think it was exceptional. I think it still might have been normal. It definitely wasn't a Colossus Vulture. I think I had to up it. And then I E-boxed it and got PP-ed it and got 2. And I was like, I just want lower resist on striking. But I have found out the hard way that it's not as good. Because before, I was running this Reaper's Toll. Just a Reaper's Toll. It's F. Bit of speed on it. Had Crushing Blow, as you can see, which helped with bosses. Huge life leech kept him going. And obviously putting out Amp was really good. Because the game's quite devious. You do run into a lot of physical immunes and fire immunes. And I found now that they're a lot slower to kill. With him jabbing away with lower resist. And me shooting cold and him having cold enchant as well. So my advice would be probably just stick to Reaper's Toll. But I really just like seeing lower resist come out, so I'm sticking with it stubbornly. This actually does more damage than the Reapers physically, but not having the amp doesn't help. What are you going to do? So yeah, we've got the Crown of Ages for the physical damage reduction, the resistances, massive fast hit recovery, and that's another crappy life per kill slam. Boo! Again, physical damage reduction. Same with Leviathan. Max roll of 25, rubbish slam of fire res, but it's all good. There was a shale in there before I put these on, so I took it out and just put a ruby in, didn't know what else to do. Again, his gear's a bit jank. Marrowwalks for the strength to put Leviathan on, but also, more importantly, of course, cannot be frozen. Verdungos for the physical damage reduction, 11%. I do have more String of Ears is knocking around, so I could give him more life leech. But again, all a bit hastily thrown together. This is a tertiary character at the end of the season, so they're getting the jank gear. Besides, like I said, in the clips at the start, she was rich. I put a lot of currency into her before she died, and the Mercenary. So now it's just like, well, unlucky. Yeah, as you can see, 5,000 odd damage. that gets doubled, I believe, with the elemental stuff. So 5,000 physical and a bunch of elemental. In fact, let's check it out now. What I would do, I really don't need to do this, it's just what I do is I like to throw them in and throw them out like that, and then I'll cast. I'll show you the difference in damage because it's not even that big, right? Because the issue is you'd be better off, and they're hard to get hold of, but a bit like these skillers. So what you want is a full quota of cold up to about maybe here, and then the rest of them fire until the Torch and Annie, yeah? And then you want them to all be like this. Cold and fire with fire damage as the secondary for spread. But again, I'm broke. So what we do, as I said, you just switch, buff, 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 buff. And of course, hilariously, I take the buff from Arachnid Mesh. It doesn't do anything. The poison damage is just for fun. But yeah, so now I am kitted up. You know, so I switch back and we have a look. So, 7997, we've got 10k AR. Our defense is obviously, you know, reasonable because of chilling armor, because it's a synergy to the cold enchant. So that doesn't look too bad. You know, 9k damage, you know, with the fire explosion. Pretty good, actually, especially when it explodes multiple times from piercing and stuff. Oh yeah, speaking of which, sorry, 52% pierce. Hard to get lots of pierce on this. I'd love an Arachnid Mesh with pierce. Maybe wear a Crow Core armor with 3 sockets. Get res in it. That's got pierce. I was sort of toying with a Cat's Eye at one point because that's got pierce on it. But again, skills for just buffing your enchant. You could go with the whole switch setup, but I'm not a fan. This is what I'm trying to show. Like, you can get away with a half-assed buffing setup which does the job. Anyway, this will illustrate what I mean. Like, the more you put in, like, sorry, 7997 2898, right? So that's with the fire skill damage charms increasing everything after the enchant. So if you do this and get the bigger enchant and you switch back, it's like, oh, 7652. Interesting. Oh, did I not even put them in? Brilliant. Maybe I did. Sorry, I'm a derp today, chat. I need to... There you go. So we did put it in now. So now we're at 8362. It's, oh, wow, what an improvement. And it's like, how can I improve that further? And it's like, well, I could put these back in. You know, it's a bit... It's still a faff, though. As you can see, it's a faff and a kerfuffle. So now we look at the damage. We're at 8496 and 3138. It's like, oh, okay. So how much do I screw around with doing all of this? And it's like, well, for me... You know, that's not a massive increase. 8362, you know, to 8362 to 8496. You know, it's like still an increase there. Once you put that back in, they, you know, I'm prepared to faff a little bit, but not usually. Usually at the start of a map, what I'll do is I'll do that one, and then halfway through the map, because I'm picking up all the rares and talking to chat and being a derp, I'll just switch and do the buff. Alright, so let's talk about mappages. So, what you want to do is you want to do Tombs of Sultan Kul, even though without the physical part there. Again, that was okay when you use Reapers. If you're not using Reapers and you've got a lower resist stick on your Mercenary, go Torch and Jungle and, not Fall of Chaldeum, Lost Temple. Yeah. And you can do Phlegger, but, you know, Fire Immune's in there. It's not the brilliantest of ideas. The thing with tier 1 is you can probably get away with doing most, if not all of them. And then tier 2, you can do Halls of Torture. Because again, your cold damage gets rubbed out there, but that's fine. You've got the fire physical aspect of who you are. You can do Sanatorium. It's probably the best choice because it's low on fire, cold, and physical. Best choice, in my opinion. Pandemonium Citadel is not bad. Again, the high cold, but not brilliant. Ruin System was one I did a lot, actually. Like I said, it's either Halls of Torture, the boss can be a bit scary. Throne of Insanity, again, another one, but the physical part sucks. And then tier 3s, you've got Ariat Battlefield, and you've got River of Blood. I was doing a lot of River of Bloods, because it was quite easy. And obviously everyone's using this, because there's no res on it yet. Yeah, so there are your map choices. Again, we'll actually grab one so I can just show you guys something. We'll do, grab a Lost Temple. Even though it's got the cold. We've already still got buffing on us, so let's just jump in and check it out. So, as you can see, we run around fairly fast. Not massively. Teleport in and then just start them explosions off. As you can see, it's like if you pierce, you hit the chain. This is what I was talking about standing up close. That mana reduction there, because of the energy shield, like, point placement, that was way better than it could have been. Look at that. That was a lovely chain there. Did you see that? That was great. So yeah, you just teleport in, mercenaries. There you go. Bam, 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 bam. Lots of explosions. Again, you've probably seen people doing this way before. Like I said, I've only just managed to sink my teeth into it properly because of being away from the game. Oh, my throat's so dry. But yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty effective killer. You know, look at that. Big explosions. It looks nice. It looks pretty. Has skill. And yeah, if you sort of, you know, if they were fire immune, kind of hoping to find a fire immune boss to show you what it's like. But you just hammer on. You just keep hammering on at them. You know? Like, if you see them, just single target, let the mercenary tank, and just keep hammering the shot. Because eventually, it will go down because he's doing physical damage and cold damage, and you're doing cold damage as well, if it's fire immune. There you go. Lower resist went off. We didn't even need it. Got a really good area effect. And there you have it, guys. Gals and non-binary pals. That's the... There you go. That's the thing. Doesn't look like a lot of damage, but... Oh, by the way, sorry. He's a Blessed Aim mercenary. So once you get in the nitty-gritty, you've got a really good chance to hit. I'm going to end this video before I die. So thank you for watching if you got this far. Yeah. I'll probably fiddle about with this again in the future. Maybe with better gear. Who knows? But yeah, take care of yourselves. Give it a try. It's great.